Welcome to Influential Entrepreneurs, bringing you interviews with elite business leaders and experts, sharing tips and strategies for elevating your business to the next level. Here's your host, Mike Saunders.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Influential Entrepreneurs. This is Mike Saunders, the Authority Positioning Coach. Today we have with us Michael Buzinski, who's the Chief Marketing Officer of Buzzworthy Integrated Marketing. Michael, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Michael.
Hey, so I'm excited to talk with you because anything marketing is my passion, and that's what you focus on. And, you know, what a perfect name, Buzzworthy, for a last name of Buzinski. So I'm sure that was a fun conversation to go through choosing your business name.
It was. Actually, it was a query on Facebook. And because we had my media production company before that, and it was basically a creative agency for about 10 years. And when we were creating this division that's specifically for digital marketing, I put out there, how would you describe me as a personality? And somebody came out with Buzzworthy. I'm like, why didn't I think of that? Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Okay, here we go. Boom, done. Rest is history.
You know, it reminds me of the way Tim Ferriss came up with his book title for our work week. Have you heard of that before?
No, I haven't.
So, I mean, if anyone's not read that book, great book, but it just took off through the stratosphere, and he was trying to figure out these book titles, and he did like some A/B testing, and he bought Google Ads. You know, and said, hey, you know, look at this great book on whatever. And he had one title and another, and I forget how many titles, but bottom line is whichever one got the most clicks, obviously people were interested in, and it became the 4-Hour Work Week because of that. So your post and query and all of that, you know, and also what I would venture to say that many clients that you work with, if you were to say to them, please let us or hire someone, or, you know, because we know you won't do it, you know, client, but contact your clients and ask them, what is it that you love about our service or our product? And you probably could ask your staff, you know, internally, you know, hey, what do our clients like about our service and products? And then you make a list. Well, if you ask them, you might find a couple, 3, 4 interesting insights that you never would have thought of.
Right. Oh, I mean, querying everybody is part of marketing. Like, people don't ask enough questions when they're in their own marketing, and they don't ask enough people. It's an amazing phenomenon for decades now. I've been going through that, and it doesn't matter how easy it gets to do surveys or interviews and stuff like that, and doing market research. Business owners are very afraid of it. I don't know if they just don't want to hear that they might be wrong, but I'd rather be wrong really early than be wrong find out that I was wrong much later, because that's lost opportunity cost. That's all the investments and everything you've done that backed it up, ... So, yeah, I think that you ask, always ask.
100%. And it doesn't need to be, you know, in your face asking, and it should not be like, please fill out this 4-hour-long survey. It should be, and it actually could be sprinkled throughout, maybe, you know, some onboarding, some conversations. So as an example, you know, hey, welcome aboard to our blah blah service. Hey, quick question, you know, and this could be in a quick, you know, email or whatever. You know, hey, what was the biggest thing that you realized about our service before you came on board that solves your problem, or whatever the question would be? And it could just be like, you know, an onboarding query, and it could be like the old Dean Jackson, if you know this, 9-word email. You know, it doesn't need to be graphics, and it could just be like a sentence, like one sentence that goes out, hey, quick question, what's the biggest thing, blah blah blah, and let them hit reply or click on a link to, you know, fill out. That could be very, very eye-opening, like you said, and in reality, it doesn't need to be a big to-do. So I think actually here in our first, you know, opening here, before we even get into like tactics or whatever, that's a wonderful strategy that could be implemented really easily.
Oh, heck yeah. And that's, I mean, just three questions. If you need more than 3 questions for a particular insight, then you are in a different position, and you really need to be setting yourself up for a different type of market research. But on the fly market research should be, you take less than 15 seconds of whomever you're asking questions of, and that's it, because we're busy. And if I see, and I love doing surveys for people because I know how important they are, but if it looks like it's going to take me 5 minutes in my day, in the middle of my day, I don't know about that. Like, you're going to have to incentivize me.
Well, I say this frequently, and it's the truth. I've received these survey requests, and I'm like, okay, I'll do that. Click on it, and I start answering questions, and I go to page, and I look up, and I see the status bar is like at a quarter, and I'd already done like fourth, and I'm like, done. So you really have to have those popcorn style, and maybe it should be in your onboarding email autoresponder. Maybe it should be, welcome, here's the next steps and whatever, and then 2 days later, the 9-word email. Hey, quick question. What did you discover is the biggest blah, blah, blah? And then either have them click a link so that it goes to a form, one question, or just hit reply. And whoever it goes to knows to then compile those, because if you start hearing a recurring theme over and over, or something that's like newsworthy, all of a sudden it's like, hey, we start hearing people, they really realize, and so now you can integrate that into your marketing messaging on the front end. So all of that to say, that's a pretty cool way that you created your business name. So you focus on digital marketing. Is that the main focus of your agency, and do you work with specific industry verticals?
Yes, so we are a digital marketing firm. We're actually, it's an integrated marketing, which means that we deal with traditional marketing and how it interacts with the digital realm. We're actually working on rebranding it to a Buzzworthy website marketing, because the integrated marketing doesn't mean a lot to a lot of people unless you're in the industry. So we work with small to medium-sized service-based businesses. So we try to keep everything at the lowest common denominator. You don't have to be a marketing genius to work with us, because there are firms out there who will talk 10,000 feet over your head and never look back. And we're more want to be talking with the stakeholders within the business. So usually they are closely held and operated private companies that need help generating business from their website. And it's one of the biggest frustrations for service-based businesses, because it's not like you're just selling an iPhone where you just make something pretty and you go. And a lot of people have services that are replicable, right? So you have chiropractors, or you might have lawyers. And so it's like, well, how do I choose you? How do I create that competitive advantage? And so we specialize in the process of that storytelling, optimizing websites, and making it easy for people to connect with their best type of client and really hone in on that. And that's where I came up with the Rule of 26.
So let's dive into Rule of 26. I know that's your kind of proprietary method as well as your book. So how does that tie in then to bringing your message really fine-tuned into making your target audience understand what it is?
So the Rule of 26 is my way of simplifying the objectives an agency can focus on for their digital marketing. So many firms out there will give you a bunch of mumbo jumbo about everything they can do for you, but really all you care about as a business owner is moving the revenue needle. So the Rule of 26 breaks down the process down to 3 objectives, which we then increase by 26% each to give them 100% more revenue coming from their website.
So in reality, it's kind of like, have you ever read Darren Hardy's book, The Compound Effect?
It is a compound effect, but for digital marketing, yes.
But in other words, if you want a massive, change in your business or your life or whatever the case is, you don't need to go massive in all these areas. You just need like tweak here and a tweak here and a tweak here. So it compounds upon each other, and it needs to be consistent. It needs to be well thought out, and you need to have that direction, right?
Exactly. And you don't have to get buried into key performance indicators. Like HubSpot has 68 key performance indicators, or KPIs, that they call out for success. And like, those are micro successes, and those are great for the digital marketer who's doing their day-to-day stuff. But for the business owner, they need to see the major KPIs moving, because they know that if these KPIs move, then my revenue moves, because it's directly related to. So the 3 KPIs are traffic to the website, conversions from the website, and the average value per client from the website.
So let's talk about for a second conversions, because I do know that why throw a bunch of money at ads if they're just going to hit your website and bounce right back off? You want a conversion. But isn't it true in some industries the sales cycle is longer than went to website, clicked purchase, and done? So how do you track conversions to make sure your advertising is working well with that KPI in the industries where it might require a phone call and a follow-up and another phone call? And how did you know that they initially came from the digital advertising to go, oh, cool, that's working?
Right. So the great question. So the first piece is to identify what a conversion is. A sale in a long sales cycle is not necessarily conversion from a website. The conversion could be the first step. Your close rate from there will dictate how much a conversion's worth. Right?
Yeah.
So if we back that up and say, okay, I really need you to buy into, say, a survey so that I can then have something to talk to you about in a drip campaign and an email. From that email, I need you to open a couple of those emails and then get on a call, right? So there's this whole process. You can track all of that because it's all digital. That's the beautiful thing about digital marketing. Everything's trackable. So as long as you put all the tracking in place properly, and that's where most people really fail horribly, and they don't know what's working, is because you have to set that tracking up. So identifying the proper conversion from your website in the first place can be a huge difference in deciding what to track and what to ask your visitors to do.
Well, and that's a really good point, because ultimately, Jerry Maguire, show me the money. Ultimately,
right.
You do want to know, let's get that sale. But what's the series of steps that need to happen before the sale happens that are those, what do you want to think of them? Like maybe pre-metrics. They're metrics, right, but they're before the sale. And it could be, in essence, it could be maybe, hey, they click from our ad to schedule a discovery call. Oh, that could be one. Or it could be, hey, they downloaded our white paper, whatever that giveaway is. And you have a tracking mechanism, conversion mechanism there, because when they download that, it's more than just they clicked something and they read a PDF. You have a little bit of information, whether it's email, maybe a phone number, that you now can follow up with. So those then lead to the sale, and they came because of the advertising, not immediately, hey, I'm looking for a red pencil. Here's redpencils.com. I bought the pencil. So you've got to think about your sales cycle.
Exactly. And and each industry is a little bit different. Medical has a different concept than legal does. Home improvement services have a different concept. My business, B2Bs, have a much different concept than B2Cs, so consumer-based services versus business-based services. So that's why I love dealing with service-based businesses, because the challenge of each of those industries keeps it interesting for me, because I've been doing this for a long time, and I love being able to borrow from different industries and testing different concepts cross industry we've found some gems over the years that have made huge improvements here and there, because marketing is not I am a dentist. If I put my website together this way and I put these ads in this way, I will get new patients. It's not the same. You can run the same marketing campaign for 2 different companies, exactly the same, with the exact same amount of money, whole 9 yards, and they will both come with outcomes will be different. There's just no way to have them exactly the same, because they're competing. And if if everything else is the same and it's just logos, names, and faces, you can't control what people connect with, right?
Yeah. Yeah, but yet you don't need to. I just like how you say, if it works in one industry, it could and should work in another industry, but you need a little polish and a little tweak here and there. That's where the creativity comes from, or else they wouldn't need you to come into the business and help them out, because, all I need to do is follow steps 1 through 9 and it's going to work every time. Poof. Nope. Marketing that worked yesterday might not work next week.
It won't work next year. I mean, that's the thing. Like, everything is moving so fast. I've been doing marketing since the late '90s or mid '90s, and it is just, if you look at over a 25-year period, is one thing, but just looking back what I was doing 5 years ago for my clients to today, what were we interested in 2 years ago? What was I doing last year? All of those are different than what the tactics we're using today. It's an ever evolving. So just as much as creativity is there, the problem solving is part of that too. Being able to anticipate trends and get off bandwagons before they dry up and waste you money instead of make you money. All those things go into marketing.
Yeah, 100%. And so here's a question. Here is a CEO of a service-based business that goes, okay, I know I need help with marketing, but my person is doing this and I've got another person doing that. How do they know when to reach out to someone like yourself to come in from the outside? And yeah, you might have people on the inside that are doing things, but Buzinski needs to be teaching you where to have all of the knobs being turned and doing, you might not do it all for them, but you need to make sure they're on the right path.
Exactly. And so I always say the earlier the better. Even if you're just looking for some consulting, to say, hey, what do you think of this? I get called by government agencies and nonprofits all the time, don't have big budgets, right? And they're very finite budgets, and they have a very finite objectives that they have to make in a very specific time frame. So they don't have time to move around and try to A/B test and all these other things. They'd rather start pointed in the right direction. So I have businesses that will do it too. If they have a marketing director and they don't maybe have a chief marketing officer with 30 years experience, they'll call me in just for the piecework of going, what do we look like? And then from there we can decide how much they should be taking on and if they should be outsourcing anything. Or maybe they should stop doing as much so that they can focus more on what's actually working and let go of all of the stuff that's wasting their time. So I always say earlier the better.
Yeah, and what you just described is the perfect description of your company, integrated marketing. Right? Because
exactly.
if you do one type of marketing and then do another type of marketing and another channel and another platform and they're not integrated, it's going to give maybe the subconscious feeling of confusion.
Right, exactly. Oh, and it's the more integrated it is, and when we say integration it doesn't have to be complex integration, it just has to be cohesive integration. They should feed off of each other. Nothing in marketing should necessarily be running in a silo by itself. It should be leveraging what you're getting from other things you're doing so that it all works synchronously, and then you get that compounding effect from doing that. People talk about networking being their biggest sales output, right? And I'm like, yeah, you know what that comes from is the fact that you're out there networking and you're advertising and you're marketing and all comes in there. So when somebody meets you and they've heard you and you're a familiar name to them, you obviously all of a sudden you have this rapport of like you've already known this person, and now the trust level is way up. So nothing happens in a silo in marketing.
And that is a description of another buzzword these days we hear, omnipresence. You can't just go, okay, cool, I'm going to blog. Well, right. That's nice and that's good, but you need to do that plus ... And secondly, exactly. I will say that people have gotten more sophisticated and they might not consciously think, this person only did an article on their WordPress blog, and anyone could do that because it's free and it's just click and upload and format. They might not think that, but they realize that the same logical content on a website is, okay, that's fine, but if that same content is on an authoritative platform and sent out to their target audience or clients or prospects, they inherently feel like, ooh, that makes a lot more sense. And I think it's just, the whole and as an example, what if someone took this article and published it on, like the example I just gave, a blog post. But then what if that same solution to a problem or that same article was published in Forbes? And your target audience saw both. Obviously, which one did they gravitate to? The one on Forbes or Entrepreneur or wherever the case is, and they see you as a more valued, trusted advisor because not everybody can get into that platform or that platform. And, nothing against going live on Facebook, going live on YouTube. But when someone has their own show and there's some production or a podcast or whatever the case is, or they're being interviewed on a podcast, they see that a whole lot better than if you just pulled up a microphone and spoke for 15 minutes and sent that out to your email database. So it's those perceptions as well. Have you seen that in your business?
100%. The value of PR in article writing is great, right? It's that repetition. Repetition is the godfather of marketing and advertising. I don't know anybody that's written anything about advertising or marketing in the last 100 years that it hasn't said something about repetition. Omnipresence now is a thing because we have so many channels of information coming into us. We get, 3,000 pieces of advertising a day, right? And that's just straight out. And then there's other things that are logos and whatnot. It gets up into the tens of thousands. So we're inundated with all of these things. So one is, yes, you need to be seen more than once and as many reputable places as possible. But then you also need the repetition so that people remember you, because we have now a shorter what is somebody said the other day? The human being has a shorter attention span than a squirrel. I don't quote me on that, but it's a really short attention span now. It's just something like if you can't get somebody's attention in 3.5 seconds. Yeah, yes, 8 seconds. 8 seconds is the golden rule. But now they're saying if you don't grab their attention in the first 2.5 to 3 seconds, that other 5 seconds is not going to happen. So you better get it in the first 2, because you don't necessarily have 8.
Wow. Yeah, I I think it's funny how they compare squirrels and goldfish and whatever, but the point is just get to the point. The point is get to the point. So, and
there's also, Mike, there's also places for the long copy. And that's where you get into relationship marketing and conversations. So it's not that long copy is gone and only for ClickFunnels and Kartra websites and those types of things where you're just trying to convince somebody to buy some vitamins or whatever it is that's hot and new that's going to make us live forever. When you're a service-based businesses, there's websites that are buried a little further down for the people who do want to read about you, who do want to understand you have 5 kids, or that you are a churchgoer, or that you believe in saving the whales in East Asia. Whatever it is, they want to read that stuff. So I really encourage people to not just keep surface, because people are surface-oriented. Not everybody is. And if you like detail-oriented people, then you need to let your details out there so that they can consume that and connect with you that way.
100%. Well, Michael, it's been really an honor talking with you. Love your energy and your ideas. If anyone's interested in learning more about you and picking up a copy of your brand new book, The Rule of 26 for Service-Based Businesses, what's the best way they can reach out and connect with you?
The book is on Amazon. There's a quick link at ruleof26.com, and you can get it there in ebook or in a paperback. And then my my company website is buzzworthy.biz. That's buzzworthy.biz. That also has a link to the book, as well as all of the things that we offer small to medium-sized service-based businesses.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for coming on today. It was really a pleasure talking with you.
Thank you. You too.
You've been listening to Influential Entrepreneurs with Mike Saunders. To learn more about the resources mentioned on today's show or listen to past episodes, visit www.influentialentrepreneurssradio.com.